What is going on, Fan Clan? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Phantom. I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you had a really good weekend. We just got back from the Indianapolis Pokemon Regional Tournament. It was the biggest. You've heard me talk about it probably a million times. It was the biggest regional tournament Pokemon has ever had. The season's actually winding down. There's one more regional event, I believe, and that's the Los Angeles one. Then there's going to be NAIC, which is in New Orleans this year, and then Worlds in August in Honolulu. And then the series, or the season restarts. Another season starts. It'll be interesting to see the changes that get put into place starting in September. Regionals that occur. It's going to be. I mean, maybe I'll play next year a little bit. Maybe that'll be fun. You guys can let me know in the comment section down below. But I figured this is going to be a little bit more of a chill video. The last 2 weeks or so have been absolutely crazy. The next 6 weeks are going to be even more crazy. We have to get through this giant box. I've got a 5-row right next to me, which is about 7,000. Well, a lot of them are sleeves, so it's probably about 6,000 cards. 6,000 ultra rares, upper ultra rares, so trainer gallery cards for sure, but then also a lot of full art, secret rares, things like that. And we're going to go through those, and I'm going to show you a lot of what I bought at the Indianapolis regional event. I'm going to talk about it a little bit, so if you want to just see what we bought, then you can just fast forward through me talking. If you don't care about what we bought, then you can just listen to me talking. If you don't care about any of it, then thanks for just clicking on the video, and I'm sorry that I let you down big time. But the event was a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun. I could not get away from the booth at all, so unfortunately I didn't get to go out and do a ton of recording. My good friend Zach, huge shout out to Zach, did take my phone. I said, can you just go record a couple minutes walking around? He came back with 30 minutes on my phone, so I got to look at that and chop it up. So I will have some sort of content that I'll be able to kind of push out there, just showing what day one looked like, which was absolutely insane because we had thousands of players that were playing, that were walking around. It was crazy. If you've never been to a regional event, I highly recommend checking it out. I met so many of you down in Indianapolis. It was an absolute blast. Thank you so much for coming up and saying hello. Literally, the weekend can be a lot. It can be very overwhelming. So just having friendly faces come over and introduce themselves and just talk for a few minutes, I cannot tell you how much that meant to me. So thank you so much to those of you who came to introduce yourself and say hello, and a lot of people who told me that was their first ever regional event. It was absolutely insane. But I wanted to give you, I didn't get to record a whole lot at the booth, but I wanted to give you a little bit of inside perspective from a vendor standpoint, from running a booth. If you've ever looked at going to a card show or going to a regional event as a player or as a vendor or as just a spectator, somebody who just goes around, there is such a big difference. At least this is my assumption, and from what I've heard, I've never been to like a Collecticon card show, but there is such a huge difference between going to a regional event and going to a Collecticon card show. So if you're somebody who just wants to collect Pokemon cards and you just want to collect a lot of higher end stuff, Collecticon seems like it's more of like the place that you want to go to. A lot of slabs, a lot of people walking around buying slabs. You don't see much of that at regional events. Each vendor for the most part is going to have maybe a display case full of slabs, but for the most part it's all going to be modern, a lot of modern raw cards. There'll be some vintage stuff in the cases, but it's going to be raw because a lot of people who want those cards, a lot of the audience that you're catering to are players, people who maybe want to build old school decks or retro decks or things like that. So you don't get a whole lot of slabs, of sealed product, of things like that, of older sealed product and things like that you might see at a Collecticon. It's not good or bad in any way. It's just different. There's a different experience. You go to a Collecticon event, for example, and there's going to be I would imagine, from what I've heard and what I've seen and what I've taught, hundreds of vendors, like people all over the place vending, different size booths and things like that. This last regional in Indianapolis, we had 10 vendors, and that is the most vendors that we have had, I would say, probably all season. Usually you're going to get 5 or 6, but because of the size of the event, because of the size of the space, they were able to expand that a little bit more to 10. And part of the reason behind that is because you don't want a ton of competition. You want to just cater a few different buying choices to the audience that's there. You don't have just walls full of vendors or anything like that at these events. It's very exclusive. It's tough to kind of get into. You get a much bigger space. Your booth size is very, very large, and you get the opportunity then to just kind of interact with an audience that's directed completely towards what you are selling. And it is expensive to get into, but it's a lot of fun. And the other vendors who go out there, the other card stores who go out there are always great. They're always wonderful people. But it is different from what I hear and what I'm assuming, even comparing it to like the card party space from last year in Anaheim, where there was a lot of product out there, but a lot of different vendors out there that were able to kind of carry different pieces and things like that. If you've never been to a card show, I highly recommend just checking them out, like going to them, seeing what it's all about. I know it can be a little overwhelming because you get a lot of people in a confined space, and it can feel a little bit claustrophobic every once in a while, and maybe you don't know how to act or where to go or what to do, and it can be a lot. But just kind of go, check it out, take it all in. Don't make any rash decisions or anything like that. But these regional events in specific are great, and this one in specific, this one in Indianapolis, Indiana, was super great because it does happen and it does occur at the tail end of the season. So a lot of what we focused on, obviously we wanted sales. Sales is very important, but you go and you do a lot of these events to buy cards, to buy singles, so that way you can take them home and put them on TCG Player or put them on a website if you have a website. And it's a ton of work, but you get the opportunity to buy a lot of cards, a lot of product. It is very, very strictly enforced that players and attendees of these events only deal with vendors. They don't buy or sell because of liability purposes. From the tournament organizer, they police it very closely to make sure that the buying and selling happens at the vendor booth and not on the floor anywhere or anything like that, especially because there are representatives from the Pokemon Company International walking around, and you don't want liability issues or anything like that. But because the event falls on one of the last regional events of the season, and the other one that we have is all the way out in Los Angeles, there is not going to be, there's going to be a lot of overlap, where there's going to be a lot of people from Indianapolis going to LA, but from a casual standpoint, a lot of people will probably end up skipping Los Angeles so that way they can go to the North American International Championships in New Orleans. And because of that, there was a lot of people who are selling off cards, maybe because they don't need them anymore for this season, or maybe because they want to save money for NAIC in New Orleans, whatever the case may be. This was probably our biggest buying show ever. I had a few transactions alone. We spent probably close to $30,000 on Pokemon cards this weekend, and I'm going to go through a lot of it in this box. And we had a few transactions that were very, very large, totaling probably about half of what we spent just in 3 people. But it's a lot different because you buy a lot of modern product. I don't buy a whole lot of Japanese cards or foreign cards. If there's something that really strikes my interest, I might offer on it or give, I might look up, pricing and things like that. But usually, since they don't turn as well, and since we don't vend Collecticons or those other events, we kind of stick to what sells and stick to what we know, and we're not going to buy a bunch of stuff that caters to a completely different audience. So we do get slabs, and I will buy a few slabs here and there, but for the most part, a lot of times, I tell people flat out, just being fully transparent, this isn't something that we move very well. They don't sell super well on the website, so because of that, my offer really isn't going to be great. Your best bet is probably going to be walking around to another store here and seeing if you can get a better offer for it, because unfortunately this is just not a product we deal a lot with. Now that could change down the road. I don't know exactly what the future all holds, but it's just such a completely different atmosphere than going to a Collecticon or an event like that, where it is a lot of focus on slabs and things like that. So I'm going to flip you guys around. We're going to go through some of the stuff. I'm going to breeze through things very, very quickly because I know your time is important to you, and I mean there's a lot in here. But basically, now that I guess I'll just go through this quick, and then we'll go through the singles. So I did have a little bit of sealed product that came my way that I decided to purchase. Old packs are fun, and I figured if I do fanny packs or something down the road, I can always throw these in there. But I did pick up a Dark Explorers pack. This is my favorite set from the black and white era. I love Dark Explorers. It's amazing. Team Up is obviously good. Guardians Rising, Primal Clash. There's a couple of Evolutions packs here. There's an XY base pack here. Cosmic Eclipse is fun. Shining Legends. There's a few of those. A couple more Evolutions. There's a couple Forbidden Light. And Phantom Forces, which is my favorite from X and Y. I love Phantom Forces as well. And then there was a Sealed Generations pack that somebody wanted to get rid of as well. I don't buy a whole lot of slabs, but I did buy some. So some of them I put in the case right away. A lot of times we'll take inventory in, and since the cases get slammed so quickly, a lot of times we're pricing cards throughout the weekend and trying to put more and more in the case and trying to just have that business mentality of burning and turning inventory, because you open up at noon on Friday and the event runs until about 8:30 or so, and then Saturday, which is the actual day of day one of the tournament, the doors open up at 7:30 a.m. and you are there until probably 9:30 p.m., 9 o'clock p.m., and you are just open helping people the entire day. So it's just 14 straight hours of customers of your booth being very busy. And then you start about half an hour later, about 8 a.m. on Sunday, and then you wrap up around 5 p.m., which is really nice. But it gets very, very busy throughout the weekend. So you're constantly putting stuff in the case as much as possible, as quickly as possible. But I did pick up a Gardevoir EX. This is a PSA 9. Really just near mint pricing, right? Because there's so many 10s out there already. But there's a Tyranitar PSA 10. This one was actually super clean. And Battle Styles Tyranitar, for some reason, was just very hard for me to grade. I did pick up a SGC. I don't buy SGC slabs ever, but the guy told me he just wanted me to give him an offer on what I would charge or what I would offer for a near mint Pikachu VMAX, and I was like, okay, well, I'll give you, I think I offered him $80 for it or $85 for it or something like that, just because I plan on cracking it out. So I'll just crack this one. I might crack these two out of the case because they're 9s. We'll see. And then I've got a Lugia GX. I also bought a Rainbow Rare Lugia GX PSA 10, but that one sold pretty quickly, actually. So I got the Lugia GX PSA 10 full art from Lost Thunder as well. There is a PSA 6 Celebi Gold Star. This was just kind of a throw-in item. This is a little bit more expensive, but the comps were really clean. And then the biggest slab that I bought was this BGS 9.5 Groudon Gold Star. I forget what comps were on it. It was like $2,700, somewhere around there. So a pretty expensive slab. And then I did buy a first edition Shadowless Ninetales. You do get a lot of vintage that gets offered to you. Unfortunately, we don't move a whole lot of vintage, and condition is always a huge issue with vintage, especially because we didn't take care of cards back in the day like we do now. But this one was actually very, very clean, and I thought, maybe I'll get it graded and it can come back a 7 or so, or otherwise maybe I'll just sell it raw. But first edition Shadowless is always a lot of fun to go through, so that was a big deal. Wanted to buy those. And then we've got, like I said, this giant 5-row of Pokemon cards. So a lot of these still have price stickers on them, or will, have there'll be a multitude of them that have price stickers on them because, like I said, we're just pricing stuff right away. But all of this needs to be organized. So I did go through and I organized. I had 2 full 5 rows. So I pulled out. I did my first round of organization, and what I did was I go through, it's 14,000 cards, and I take out all the bulk EXs and Vs and GXs right away and put those, in one box, and I fill up that box, and then I pull out everything that would go on TCG Player and put that in a box, and then I pull out everything that would be like a lot of Radiant cards or a lot of cards that maybe I would, baby shinies, things like that I'll put on the website but at a later date, and I boiled it basically down to one full 5-row of stuff that I need to de-sleeve, condition grade, re-sleeve, and then I can put them all up on the website. So that'll happen over the next week or so, but it's a lot of work, it's a lot of grind, but there's a lot of Giratina stuff, a lot of stuff that people play, so a lot of playable cards, things like that, and then also a lot of stuff from Temporal Forces in here, from Paradox Rift in here, from the last few sets, Paldean Fates. We bought an absolute ton of special illustration rares. You can see a Tyranitar there. We bought a ton of Ghastlies throughout the weekend. Obviously they are pretty expensive right now, $18, $19 or so, but because of that, a lot of players, selling them off. Here's a bunch of Iron Hands. Iron Hands, obviously not as playable. It didn't do as well during the weekend, so I don't know if you pay attention to what's going on in the market or not, but it was an $18 card at the beginning of the weekend on Friday, and then it dropped down to $13 on Sunday because it's not doing as well, not performing as well in the next set. With Dragapult coming out, with Greninja coming out, there's a lot of question marks in place about how well it's going to do. There were a lot of alternate arts. I was very upfront with people as far as alternate arts go, and just told them, I can offer on alternate arts. I'll try and do the best that I can, but the alternate art market right now is crazy and super volatile, and I don't feel comfortable offering 80-85% like I normally do of whatever the market price is right now, because I don't think that it's going to sell this weekend at the show, and then I take it home, and if something changes tomorrow, it could fall back down. Like, for example, I did have one Umbreon VMAX, one Moonbreon that I brought with us and put it up for $750 on Friday. It sold within the first half an hour of us being there, and then I had somebody come up later, and I offered $650 for their Umbreon VMAX the next day, and they told me it was already, over $900 on TCG TCG player, and I was like, there's no way. I just talked about it yesterday. It's a $750 card. And then I looked, and sure enough, in the span of a day, it jumped up so much. So that's a very tough thing to go through as a store owner, because you don't want, obviously I don't want to offend anybody, and I want it to be a win-win situation where they get what they're hoping for and we get something that we can make a little bit money off of. But at the same time, with everything being so volatile right now, it's just a very difficult thing. Here's a Gengar EX. When somebody brought this up, somebody brought up the great thing about dealing with some players is that if they haven't played for a while, they might have some older era EX cards that resonate a lot more, have a lot more nostalgia with me, because it was during the time that I was playing the game competitively. Like I said, Phantom Forces is my favorite set from the XY era. So he had like this, he had a bunch of older stuff, or a bunch of like black and white XY era full arts that have really skyrocketed in price, like the Keldeo here, or the Umbreon EX, Alakazams. There was other ones too that I can kind of call out, but a couple arts there. Here's Deoxys and Genesect, so he had those as well. These Thunderous EXs right here, those as well. All in really good condition. He had this Entei from Dark Explorers. I told you before that was my favorite set from Black and White. There's another Tyranitar. He had this Reshiram EX from Next Destinies. He had the Landorus EX from Boundaries Cross, but it was adding up so fast, and before I knew it, I was spending $2,000 on some older era EX cards. Here is like this. We bought a ton of special illustration rares from various sets on Friday and Saturday, and some of them ended up selling. But Bubble Muse, look at all these Charizards that we bought throughout the weekend, which was absolutely nuts. A few Iron Crowns, some Iron Boulders. Here's some Raging Bolts that came in throughout the weekend. I think there's more of them in here still. But it was just a lot of people who were opening up Temporal Forces throughout the weekend and selling the hitters and stuff like that. Walking Wakes. We've got Iron Leaves EX. Gouging Fire EX. We bought a lot of those throughout the weekend. Sandy Shocks EX. There was a lot of those that came in throughout the weekend. And some of them moved really quickly and some of them did not. Like Roaring Moon did not move as well. Iron Valiant did not move as well. Morty's Conviction did okay, but we didn't buy as many of those. Airy, there's Bianca's Devotion right there. A bunch of gold cards that came in. A lot of Garchomp EXs that came in, which is not necessarily an expensive card, but it's just nice to have some variety in the case. But look at, there's a ton of gold. Mewtwo EX right there. And I'm not going to highlight every single card, obviously, that we go through. Iron Crown EX, which is a very playable card. But the gold cards don't do too well. Counter Catcher, the gold cards do okay for trainer cards. Roaring Moon, more of those. Iron Valiant, we bought quite a few of those as well. Frostlass, there's a Dialga from Crown Zenith right there. But I mean, the gold item cards like Super Rod, Counter Catcher, those are up there a little bit right now. A lot of some of the Sword and Shield era gold energy cards are up there right now, but because people will bling out their deck as long as it's not overly expensive. So a lot, there's Ultra Ball. We bought quite a few Ultra Balls throughout the weekend, but that was probably the one that as soon as you put it in the case, it sold extremely quickly. Max Potion, here's some more from Crown Zenith right here. We've got 4 different Arceus V-Stars right there, so somebody must have sold off a playset. A lot of times you'll have people who they're playing a specific deck throughout the weekend and it didn't perform as well, or maybe they're sick of the deck, or maybe because Twilight Masquerade is coming out, they want to change something up. We've got more great catchers here. So they sell off the deck that they have, so that way they can buy, new cards to build a new deck. Super Rod, which is doing really well right now. Some older era gold cards, double colorless energy. A lot of rainbow rares. Rainbow rares don't move too well at events. They move better online. So we did buy quite a bit of those. Gold cards move really well, but rainbow rares not as much. There's the Giacomo right there. I do have a few of those. This video is already at 18 minutes and I'm not even through one row, so I'm going to blow through these pretty quick. Lily's Full Force. There's a lot of really cool, a lot of Clives, a lot of pennies. I think there's going to be probably like 15 or 20 more yet that we took in throughout the weekend, but just a lot of people selling off different things, maybe pulling out cards that had a little bit more value to them because they wanted to buy tickets to side events or other things, or a lot of people who wanted to trade. So a lot of people would pull out something that had a little bit more trade bait with it, so that way they could trade for something that they wanted. Lily, a lot of Ionos throughout the weekend. Look at all those Ionos. Lots of Ionos that came in. Erica's Invitation right there. I'm almost done with the first row. One of the things that was, I was very transparent going back to the alternate art conversation, is I would tell people flat out where the market price was on a lot of the alternate arts.
that they took, or that they were offering, I would just say, hey, here's the price point where I can offer. Here's the price point where it's at if you took it home and sold it on your own. Because it is so volatile right now, I just don't feel comfortable giving you, the 80-85% that I would typically offer for it. And I would just let them know right away. Charizard EX, there's another Arceus, Giratina, Palkia V-Star, and I would just let them know that this is the situation that we're in right now. And a lot of people were super understanding about it. But it's a difficult situation to be in. Here's a bunch more pennies. Like I said, we bought quite a few of those. Lots of rainbow rares that came in throughout the weekend. Lots of them. There was a fair amount that went out, but not as much as like the gold cards did. Nimona, Boss's Orders, Lurantis, Rika. There's more Nimonas. Lugia V-Star. It's just insane, the amount of stuff that comes in and goes out throughout the weekend. I mean, you figure it's like 30 straight hours. There's another Tyranitar, Ends Resolve, Marnie right there, Delinquent. You figure there's a Charizard EX again from Paldean Fates. 30 hours of nonstop Pokemon action over the 3 days of just constantly people at your booth buying and selling and trading, and people out on the floor playing, and they test a new deck that they want to try out. Coach Trainer, Alessis Sparkle, Cheryl. We did have a lot of Lances that came in and went out throughout the weekend because of the Dragapult release that's coming up soon. Here's some more Morty's Convictions, Cigaro, Kindler, Cobb. A lot of bulkier full arts as well. A lot of people just kind of dumping off their binder that they think isn't going to really have too much of an impact before it rotates. Even though rotation isn't going to be for a long time yet. Just thinking, well, if I need it, I can get it back really cheap still. Poppy, lots of Miriams that came in. Pikachu VMAX there. Lots of full art trainers of the cheaper variety, like Paldean Student, Venusaur EX. There's a Salvatore right there. It was very interesting, the amount of 151 that did come in and go out still. 151 still doing extremely well, but a lot of like the illustration rares, special illustration rares from 151 that would come in and go. I felt like I was going through a ton of illustration rares from 151 pricing stuff. As you can see, there's 4 Blastoises right there. There's a Mew. There's a Pikachu from Cosmic Eclipse. There's some Groudons right here. There's a playset of Groudons, Iron Hands. There's a Charizard EX, Mew V, alternate arts. Just crazy. And this is stuff, a little bit bulkier stuff, obviously, that doesn't have as much relevancy. And we'll see if there's some other stacks here that I can go through. Lots of illustration rares from various Scarlet and Violet sets. Charizard VMAX right there. A lot of Arceus V-Stars. That card might go down a little bit in price. We'll see. We'll see what happens with how the format adapts. Tinkaton EX, Miraidon EX, special illustration. Lots of Crown Zenith that comes in and goes out as well. There's a Mewtwo V. There's Dragonair from 151. Another Mew V alternate art. Zapdos EX, special illustration rare. Lots of various full arts from the Scarlet and Violet era. Almost done with the second row now. So there's a full art Blastoise, a Greedent V, a couple of alternate art promos, Gardevoir EX, special illustration rare. This is all bulkier stuff right here. There's a few Duraludon VMAXs, alternate arts, unknown alternate art, Pikachu, a couple of Noivern alternate arts, another Dragonair, Alakazam EX, special illustration rare, Altaria EX, Pikachu V from the Trainer Gallery from Lost Origin. Single Strike Urshifu, Pikachu again, Entei V. There's a Rainbow Rare Pikachu and Zekrom, a couple special illustration rare Squawkabillies, Single Strike Urshifu VMAX, alternate art Marshadow and Machamp, alternate art Sandaconda V, alternate art Shadow Rider Calyrex V's, alternate art Zeraora V, and then a bunch of Trader Gallery. There's another alternate art Mewtwo V, and this is the last stack from the second row. So we're 40% done with the box. It's absolutely crazy. This is my favorite card, I think, from all of Scarlet and Violet. Golden Go EX. I did buy quite a few of them, but they sold pretty quickly. Mew V, unfortunately. There's a Shadow Rider Calyrex, Empoleon V, Mousehole, Beedrill, Gimme Ghouls, another Alakazam EX, Gengar EX, another special, just absolutely crazy. I don't have to say every single one. I don't know why I am. Palkia V, alternate arts, Sylveon V, alternate art, but a lot of really cool stuff. Galarian Articuno. There's another Celebi, Golisopod. This one's actually fairly cheap, only $13 for that special illustration rare. Mega Heracross secret rare. There's a couple of Sun and Moon era alternate arts, Muck and Alolan Muck, Gengar and Mimikyu. There's a Team Aqua's Kyogre, secret rare Mega, so Mega Lucario, Mega Gengar, a couple of Mega Kangaskhan, the full art Zekrams, look at that, Dialga EX from Phantom Forces, and the Groudon EX full art from Dark Explorers. That's probably my favorite card in Dark Explorers. It changes a little bit between the Raikou, the Entei, and the Darkrai, and then also the Groudon. But I did play Primal Groudon for quite some time, so that was a one-of in the Primal Groudon deck. So we've got some older secret rares there, and a bunch of bulkier cards here. So we might have flown past a lot of the better stuff. I wanted to keep the better stuff closer to the beginning of the box, so the first couple rows. And then we've got Mimikyu, V full art, a lot of trainer gallery cards that came in. I pulled a lot of them out that are a little bit cheaper, but then some of the other ones that, I want to get on the website faster. This is basically just a box of stuff that I want to de-sleeve, condition grade, and get on the website as quickly as possible. So that way, we can have a little bit of a selection. Right now, the website is pretty low on inventory as far as singles go, so I wanted to get that fixed. So it was a good show for a lot of buying and things like that, which was nice. I did buy another Tropical Beach. Tropical Beach is such a big card for me. It was such an important card, so I've got a lot of those now. 4 Magikarps. Look at that, 4 Magikarps throughout the weekend. Those came in, but I think a lot of people were just like, oh, this card is expensive. I want to try and sell it off, and you offer $75 for a card that maybe they pulled at the event or not too long before the event, and it's not a bad deal considering the fact that you don't have to worry about fees or shipping or anything like that. Bunch of bulkier stuff here. I think that this row, for the most part, is going to be a lot of bulkier and trainer gallery stuff in here. So we'll move pretty quickly through this stuff here before we go to the next one. We've got some more secret rare energies there. There's a reversal energy again. There's another Squawkabilly, more Peko, some more secret rare energies. I forgot to get out 2 Darkrai Vs. Oh, this was a deck that somebody sold off. Roaring Moon, Professor Sada's special illustration rare, gold dark patches. I guess it's not all bulkier stuff. There's another Gimme Ghoul and Golden Go and a Lugia V full art and a Boss's Orders. We are halfway done. I think we're halfway done with the box now at this point, which is absolutely insane. Double turbo energy. It just, it keeps going. It keeps giving, which is really, really exciting. This kind of stuff really excites me because I really enjoy going through singles. And a lot of these cards, believe it or not, they do tell stories where I'm just kind of flipping through and I can remember, an event that card specifically did well at, or maybe performed really well throughout the weekend. Or maybe my testing group and my friends are really working on that deck right now, or trying to figure out a way to make it work. And it's just a lot of really cool stories that can go with a lot of this stuff. A couple Reggie Drago V alternate arts there. Some bulkier stuff here. Here's a lot of the bulkier stuff that was in the cases. Just full arts that don't really resonate too well, but we wanted to make sure that we had them available in case there's some people who come there and they're collecting master sets, or Real Breaking Nader will always stop by the booth and we'll talk for a while, and then he'll go over some cards that he needs to finish out some master sets. We've got a bunch of special illustration rares here, a bunch more gold here. This is not bulkier stuff. A lot of secret rare Pokemon, and there's another Ghastly there. VS Seeker gold cards, some full art trainers. Another Tinkaton EX special illustration rare. A lot of illustration rares as well. And now we move down to the last 2 rows at 28 minutes. It's absolutely crazy. 28 minutes. I'm sorry for taking so long. Oh, man. I am trying to go as quickly as possible, but if you are still here, thank you for still being here. I know it's a lot to go through, but I wanted to make sure that I kind of showed off what all happens, what all goes on when we're kind of prepping for an event and cleaning up afterwards. And it gets absolutely nuts. Obviously, this is going to be a lot to go through over the next. You want to get it up as soon as possible, because here I am, sitting down talking about it, and people will be like, Fanny, can you hurry up and get these cards posted so I can buy what I want to buy? And it's like, yeah, I'm going as fast as I can. But a lot of times it's just a lot. I want to make sure that the cards that we're buying and selling are near mint and stay near mint, and that everything is priced accordingly and correctly. and it's just a lot. I'm probably just mumbling at this point and just trying to figure out stuff to say, because usually I don't talk this long, but this video is obviously taking a lot longer. But I want to make sure that I do it right. I want to make sure that I take things seriously, because as bad as I am at this business and at YouTube, I want to make sure it's fair for everybody. So Darkrai's, I had a big Darkrai collector, a big Giratina collector, a big Mewtwo collector who wanted to get rid of some of their stuff and focus on Rayquaza instead. So did pick up a lot of that stuff. A lot of older holographic rares as well, from like the Diamond and Pearl era and from Heart Gold Soul Silver era. Like a lot of that stuff, it's tough to find in good condition nowadays, and he had everything like top loaded, and it was all like really, really strong condition. So it was exciting to take that stuff in, just to kind of go through, you know, some of my older master sets as well and add to it. And then I mean, they're not super expensive cards right now, but they are, you know, they all tell a story, and it's all pretty fun to look at, and look at what used to be, you know, a hit in a booster pack. So it was pretty cool to see all those older cards as well. As we continue to move along, I think we've got about a row and a half left. A lot of just Paldean Fates stuff there. There's a Lucario and Melmetal alternate art promo right there. Let's see what else we got in here. I think this is going to be a lot of Trainer Gallery stuff, a lot of illustration rare stuff. There is some, I think I bought, oh, there's an Iono special illustration rare. Yeah, there's a lot of secret rares from Cosmic Eclipse right there. Riolu, there's a Cresselia. Still a lot of really good stuff. Even in there's another Bianca's Devotion. Even in the last few rows, or last couple rows of the case, there's still a lot of really good stuff. Like I said, I did take out a lot of the bulk stuff. Mew EX gold cards. Those aren't very expensive. Iron Boulder EX special illustration rare. I lost my spot. I'm just going to take a stack from the back here, and then we'll move into the last row, because I know I've taken up so much of your time already. Koraidon EX gold card. Here's a bunch of Trainer Gallery stuff, and a lot of stuff that just needs to be gone through and sleeved. Look at, I mean, just a lot of Trainer Gallery. Here's some full art trainers, a little bit lower valued full art trainers, some cheaper full art trainers. Good stuff to get through master sets before, you know, while they're, you know, $1 or $2. Like, at least it's something that's fairly easy to kind of check off the list. And then we've got Walking Wake full art, some more illustration rares right there. There's a special illustration rare Koraidon, some workers. There's another Clefairy. I bought a lot of Clefairies throughout the weekend, but I guess that is one of the more pricey cards in Obsidian Flames. Not a whole lot of value in Obsidian Flames. It's crazy to see how much that Charizard has already dropped down to, I forget what it was, if it was like $34 or something like that we had him at in the case. It was crazy to see how much that has dropped. But with pull rates being a lot better in Obsidian Flames and much, much smaller of a set, the variety isn't bad. So it's nice to see how cheap that one can be to finish. Some Megas right here, a little bit older stuff in here. Mega Manectric, Mewtwo EX, Mega Venusaur. There's a Shaman right there. Some other full arts and illustration rares again. Just so much that needs to be gone through. Oh my goodness. Some more lower end full art trainers right there. And then we've got some Turos here, some there's an Iron Valiant right there, some other illustration rares. There's a special illustration rare Garchomp, some more gold cards, some more older cards. There's another Gengar EX. We got a fair amount of those. Lugia V, Iron Valentinkaton. There's another Gimme Ghoul. Here's another Gouging Fire EX, special illustration rare, and another Raging Bolt, Walking Wake, Raging Bolt. Crazy to see all this stuff still that needs to be, I need to go through this a little bit better, obviously. Regidrago, there's a bunch of Snorlaxes over there that are still sealed. Greedent V alternate art, Koraidon EX hyper rare. Crazy. All right, I'm gonna go through one more batch here, and then it kind of gives you a pretty good feel, I think, of everything that kind of we were able to get throughout the weekend. So I'll work my best on trying to get all of this done as quickly as possible. Obviously, we're streaming tomorrow. We'll go through and get as much of this done, as much of this up on the website. But patience is all that I ask. That would be absolutely amazing. I know it's just a lot to go through, but thank you. I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea of how things looked from a vendor standpoint. Unfortunately, I didn't get to record as much as I obviously would have liked, but I think 34 minutes of going through a box is probably enough. And I didn't, you guys are still here, thank you. I probably bored the heck out of you, but thank you so much for taking the time. I hope you appreciate the content. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, leave a comment. I love you guys. Thank you so much for everything. We'll be back tomorrow with our stream, Thursday with another video talking about some trainer gallery stuff that's going on. And then Friday, we're going to open up Twilight Masquerade. Huge shout out to the Pokemon Company International. They sent over some free product for us to open up to share with you guys. So I'm excited to crack into that, give that away. Thank you so much for everything. I'll talk to you again soon. Until next time, peace.